Thanks everyone for joining us today. This is the Organizing Work Programs for High School Students webcast run by the Alliance for Community Trees. This is a monthly webcast series that we host, typically on the third Thursday of the month. Today's session is about high school work programs, which are a great opportunity for youth leadership through environmental education and job training. The work teaches basic tree maintenance and landscape skills, including watering, weeding, mulching, some pruning and cleanup, and using tools. But it also gives the young students a chance to hone their extended skills, such as math, science, computers, working with GIS, statistical analysis, and in some cases, things like measuring stormwater runoff, including in addition to the tree planting and maintenance. So it's a program that a lot of groups around the country have implemented, and a lot more are interested in doing. So today we have two groups represented who have similar programs. One is UC Green, and Amanda will be talking about summer work programs and urban relief, and Kemba will be talking or mainly focusing on school year work programs. Before we begin, I want to thank our sponsors, the Home Depot Foundation and the U.S. Forest Service, who have made this possible, and also encourage anyone who is not who's on the call who's not a member of the Alliance for Community Trees to consider joining. This is one of the ways in which we try to replicate successful models around the country and really bring the urban forestry movement up together. So with that, I'll introduce our speakers. Amanda Benner is the Trees for the 21st Century Program Director at Future of Life, and until very recently was the Executive Director at UC Green in Philadelphia. In May 2006, UC Green launched its new high school summer workforce program, UC Green Corps. The program provides sustainable seasonal maintenance to approximately 500 young trees a week. Kemba Shakur is founder and executive director at Urban Relief in Oakland, California. When Kemba moved to West Oakland, she was struck by the lack of greenery. She recalled thinking, I can live here. But instead of packing up and moving on, Kemba started planting trees. Urban Relief has since provided school year work opportunities for approximately 200 high school students a year. In particular, they work with at-risk teens from East and West Oakland and Richmond, California. So with that, the order of operations, Amanda will speak first, then we'll have about 10 minutes of questions and answers for Amanda, then Kemba will speak, and the rest of the time will be questions and answers for either presenter. You can ask a question verbally by signaling to the operator, or you can type a question into the question manager, and I'll come on the line and ask that for you. Okay, so with that, I will turn it over to Amanda.
Thank you, Jared. Before I get started, I just wanted to thank the Alliance for Community Trees. It's really through the network that UC Green was able to develop this program. A lot of the folks that I met at the annual conferences were instrumental. In particular, the Greening of Detroit was just very helpful in helping us set up our program, and hopefully this presentation will help others learn about how they might set up one. So in getting started, like many of you, I'm sure, you plant a lot of trees in your area. We do this with volunteers, and a lot of the trees that we plant every year, while many are in the residential areas with neighbors on their blocks in front of their homes, where we're pretty sure they can get a fair amount of care, many are on commercial corridors or near schools or recreation centers. And you can imagine, schools, there's no one really there during the summer. Just a quick illustration of some of our work. In 2006, we planted 150 trees around and inside a recreation center. So these are all pretty close together, really nice tree lawn there and a double row. But the maintenance and the care was something we were concerned about. So as we're planting all these trees over the last few years, last 4 years we've planted over 1,000 trees. There's this amazing challenge to really keep the survivability of the trees And so we recognized that they needed maintenance. Another great opportunity is that our neighborhood youth need good, rewarding jobs, and also a way to connect to their own natural environment and connect to their community. So we took this challenge and an opportunity in 2006 and launched our Summer Youth Tree Maintenance Program. We worked 16 weeks, 16 hours a week, Monday through Thursday. We provided maintenance to over 300 trees, and these were all young trees planted by our volunteers. And it was great. We were able to really have hands-on job training, develop that, include a lot of tree care education, and really start to promote that element of stewardship. This year, because of the success of last year, along with changing our t-shirt colors, we increased our capacity to 500 trees a week. We went to a 25-hour-a-week Monday through Friday program. We also, while school's still in, just work on Saturdays. Last year we tried after school, but found it was very difficult with traffic and the shortened hours available. So we do 5 hours on Saturdays in the spring and the fall, and then when school is out, it's the 5 hours. We have a very competitive pay rate of $8 an hour. We're trying to compete and provide appealing jobs to youth, competing with McDonald's and that sort of thing. And it also helps us get very competitive applicants to our program. Our team is made up of a supervisor and driver, and 3 team members. We also hire 2 alternates so that if a member goes on vacation or is unable to work on a certain day, we have substitutes available. So it's a small team, but they really work hard and are very efficient. Our priority is watering the trees. As most of you, I'm sure, know, young trees, those first 2 years are just critical in order to become established, get their roots going. So we use the green tree gator bags, which hold 20 gallons, and we fill them once a week. While we're watering the trees, there's weeding going on at the time, and we're also monitoring the tree for broken branches in case they need to be pruned. We also make sure every summer that the trees get mulched so that they're ready for the winter and have a good base to hold in that moisture. And we also make sure we have stakes, and the stakes are only really to protect the trees against car doors, since our trees are all planted along the curb line. They're not tied up at all. And then we also include trash removal as when we're out there. Our existing conditions, after a week, it's pretty easy to see that if you're on a corridor, a commercial corridor somewhere where there's a lot of pedestrians and a lot of traffic, without other care coming for these trees, we can, this is the type of site amount of trash that we might be picking up in a week. And then you never know what else you might find. We had some wildlife this year that we found, so I wanted to include that kind of cool picture there. Part of our program is, very important part of our program is the education. Not only do we provide very strong job mentoring, really instilling a strong work ethic, requiring accountability, punctuality, and developing a sense of respect between the team members. We also have just amazing volunteers in our community who help us with hands-on workshops. We have a certified arborist who every summer has given a beginner pruning lesson to our team, and then later in the season, after they've really gotten into it and learned more, she takes them out and does more of a structural pruning workshop, teaching them about what the trees are going to need in years to come, and they really love it. They really enjoy these hands-on workshops. We also have a wonderful volunteer who helps explain how to use the different mechanical tools and pumps and teaches safety and maintenance as well. Additional parts of our education component are field trips. This last last 2 years we've taken the team as kind of a reward. We take a day 1 week to break things up a little bit, and we went out to Morris Arboretum, and we met with their chief arborist. He gave a tour of the grounds, explained the work that they do there, really explained the opportunities for a career in this sort of work. And this year he actually gave a tree climbing demo, which was a big hit with the team. We also went to a historic garden, Bartram's Gardens, which is right in our community, very, a stone's throw from where all of our team lives, and none of them had actually gone there before. So that was another really eye-opening experience to be able to visit this oasis in the city and learn about the history of it and what they're trying to do there, and just another opportunity to learn more about the field. So I wanted to, as I mentioned, we mainly do trees that we've planted in the last year or two, but I wanted to give you this cute little tree pit makeover demo. Make sure this is working here. This should be starting, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it come up. I think maybe the system wiped it out. It was working.
Here we go. Okay. So here are some trees that were planted a few years ago. We're not maintaining them weekly, but you can see they've gotten some neglect. So our team goes out, weeds them, which helps aerates them, waters, limbs up the branches, mulches them, cleans up the site. And I mean, that's the type of thing that really, I think you can see by the smiles on our team. It's very, very rewarding to kind of come in, see this need, and get it done. We have an ongoing rainy day list as well that we work from. Obviously, when it's pouring rain out, we're not going to be watering, but we still work. The kids are out there in their rain ponchos, and there's a lot of other types of jobs that can be done, and mulching and cleanup of sites like this is one of them. I think this is a sunny day because, I don't know, that day I think we had some extra time. Let's see. So just to get into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty, we're really lucky to have a tool shed in a local cemetery, which is, been really nice for us. It's a peaceful place to start the day as well for the kids. And we load up from there. You can see we have a water tank. We also use a car share truck, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's a program. We don't actually own the vehicle, but we're able to use it as we need it. And that's been a really nice resource for us. They're called Philly Car Share in our area. But we load up the truck with the tools that are needed that day. You see the water tank. And basically, every day there's two teams. There's a truck team and a hose team. This is more or less illustrating the truck team, where we set up by a hydrant, fill up the tank, and then the tank is actually used with a pump. So the truck is able to go out to sites where the trees might not be near a hydrant. Maybe these trees are some of the ones that are a little more isolated. But you'll notice also in the bottom left that we always use our safety barrier anytime we're parked, double parked, in order to not only let folks know who we are, what we're doing, but also to kind of add that additional element of safety. The other team, I just want to show you some pictures of our hose team. We use the hydrants. We had to get a city license permit that we have to have on us at all times. We also have to use a backflow preventer, which is what's required with utilizing city hydrants. The hose team they are just amazing. They carry hoses, they wheel hoses, they spread them out and take care of them very well. I would highly recommend using quick connectors for hoses. Makes them very interchangeable, which is great. And we also learned a little bit the hard way to use even though we've used very high quality, heavy duty hoses, we learned to, when we have to stretch the hose across the street, to use a rubber hose. So that's another little tip there I can give you. And, few tips I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to mention. Safety is really critical. We have youth. We're in the street. There's a lot of traffic going by. We're very conscious of always making sure everyone has their seatbelts on in the truck. We also make sure they are given very clear safety training in the beginning of how to use every tool, gloves, hats, those sorts of things. And the kids really respond to it well when it's set up early and you're consistent. Another tip is, if you are going to use a tank method of watering, just to make sure that you really know what your vehicle can hold and that water is very heavy. Even though our tank can hold 150 gallons, we can only fill it to 130. That reduces the number of trees you can actually water, but it's important to, make sure you're not overloading your vehicles. I mentioned about the water hydrants and backflow preventers. And then the whole element of, for most of these kids, this is their first job they've ever had. We really have high expectations of them. We instill a sense of, working together with respect, really working hard. It's a 5-hour work day, and I wanted to say that we normally would go 8 to 1 p.m. That's what we thought our schedule would be, but these kids said, no, let's go an hour earlier. Let's start at 7. So that means, they're getting up pretty early on summer days, which is really good, but then the heat of the day, they're basically done by noon, which was more appealing to them. And I think by having reward days and different educational hands-on workshops, it's a way to really make the experience memorable, and I think the kids really have a lot of fun. We've gotten great feedback from them, and we expect quite a few to repeat again this next year. We want to come back again. So I'll leave you with that, and just another image of kind of a before and after. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
If participants from the phone lines would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your touch-tone phone. You will be prompted to record your name. So if you've self-muted your line, please unmute it. Once again, star 1 to ask a question, and please record your name.
Amanda, how much attrition is there from year to year and also within the summer?
Attrition meaning?
Like how many drop out?
Oh, no, we have no dropouts. In fact, the substitutes are always clamoring for more hours. We're hoping to expand the program to have a second team, but what's been good is that one of our guys that came back this year, he left for college, so he was done early in August, so we were able to give one of our alternates some extra hours through that.
And I noticed that all of the pictures are guys. Is that a challenge to recruit women?
We actually had a woman on our team this year. We just unfortunately only had the one photo of her. We have had a few apply, and so that's not in any way that we wouldn't hire them. I think right now it seems to be more of an appealing job for the guys right now. So, but we'll see how we do with the future on that.
Hi, Amanda. This is Georgia with Urban Relief.
Hi.
Hi. And I had a question, or my question is one of the goals to link this work program with academic programs in horticulture or sort of private sector horticulture work?
Well, we do have kind of ongoing educational components of our program in terms of teaching tree identification and the hands-on pruning and mechanical workshops, but we have not directly linked with additional sorts of training or education right now. We're focusing on the need for the jobs and the tree maintenance, and then we kind of fold in these additional job mentoring and environmental and tree care education as we can.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
Can you talk some about the cost for operating the program?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we've been really fortunate. A lot of the commercial quarters, we've gotten quite a bit of support from the businesses, and we also always leave flyers whenever our team actually visits a home, a residential block, which we may not get to as frequently as some of these other areas that are in more need. But they leave flyers behind that say, you know, the Green Corps were here, we're helping you maintain your tree, don't forget to, you know, water and weed. And so we're consistently reminding folks who have these young trees. But we also drop off an appeal every year to them saying, you know, would you help sponsor a tree and our youth program? It's basically, we've calculated out to about $25 a month or $75 a summer per tree. So that's what our ask is. And I think once, you know, after the first year, after we had to buy a lot of the big equipment, the tanks and the hoses and everything, and a lot of the gators, we were lucky this year to be able to, we're going to be able to reuse a lot of our tree gators. So there's an upfront cost. And then I think once you have most of your materials, that's not going to be as high the subsequent years.
Okay. Question is, what's the age of your youth, and how do you handle liability, waivers, and issues related to parental consent?
Yeah, the age of our youth has been high school. We did not exclude young adults or others from the application process. We really make it open. But right now, most of our recruiting seems to be coming from high schools. So we've been getting high school students. We had a college-age Forest Service intern last year as well. So we're hoping to maybe develop it to where a college-age student, a returnee, could become a driver supervisor in you know, as a repeat year sort of effort. So that was the age. The liability, we do have insurance liability that we set up through our nonprofit insurance coverage, specifically to cover each of the youth. So that is definitely a concern and a something that we address every year. So the question was the age, the liability, and what was the other?
Waivers and parental consent.
Oh, every year when we hire our team, we have a very in-depth orientation, which includes a handbook that goes to each of our team members. And the parents are very much involved. They are also called during the referral stage of the interview process to make sure that they're really on board, they're spoken to individually, and they have to sign off on that they do support their child participating in this, and that they're going to help them get to the job or help them, you know, take this job seriously. So we also at the end of each season or have a picnic. This year, that's our goal for next year, is to really have a big picnic with all the parents and guardians and our volunteers and board members as well, as kind of a thank you. But getting the parents involved, I would agree, is an important part.
And what is the cost associated with insurance?
I could certainly get that back to, I could look that up and get back to you on that.
Okay.
I recall, though, that it was not significantly more, since our program, our organization is basically being insured for those sorts of liabilities and volunteers.
Okay. Any follow-up questions, if there are any, I can email them out to the whole group. Have you found that the pay rate has been competitive? Yes.
And I think that's one of the appeals of the job, actually. I understand other work programs that they have in the area are paying $7, and we take a lot of pride in our program. That kids really work hard. They're really getting a good, rewarding experience with this. And they're not just, it's not a make work type of program at all where, you know, they're sitting around or not being supervised. So, and I think the extra bit is an appealing element for the members.
Can you talk more about the community support, aside from, you know, the residents whose trees are in the neighborhood, any local businesses or such?
Yeah, the local businesses have been supportive in terms of financial support, and a lot of times when the team's out there, shop owners will come out and give them water and juice and that sort of thing. One of our supervisors always says whenever they're out, people are constantly just saying to the team how great they're doing, you know, how much they admire their work, and just keep it up, and people honk their horns as they go by. And so there's great community support just from that element. But these trees are really, you know, these are trees that have been planted by volunteers. So we're kind of, you know, building on that sort of community involvement, and just trying to really ensure that the trees are going to survive. So I hope that answers that question. I'm not sure if I got that totally, but.
Okay. Have you had any disciplinary issues? If so, what kinds of procedures do you have in place?
Minor. I think because our interview process is pretty extensive, and we have a lot of applicants to choose from. We've been able to pick and also check references and pick youth that have good school, you know, good grades and good attendance. Grades aren't as important to us really as that they have good attendance records at school, because I think that's very important in terms of, you know, developing your work life and career future. Disciplinary, very minor. You know, we really set up the policies up front that, you know, you must call by a certain time if you're going to miss work or be late. We really have not had issues with that. The kids really want to work. You know, there might be a little bit in the beginning, just kind of, you know, I don't want to wear my seatbelt, sorts of things, but that sort of thing, I think mainly we use peer pressure a lot of times for that sort of issue, and we really have been very lucky and developed that kind of aspect of respect. So I'm sure if the program would get bigger and you have more kind of members, you know, there's more chance of that sort of thing developing, but we start out very strict, and I think that's a good policy.
And I can testify too. I remember when I was up there for one of the plantings, one of the mothers came driving by just to check to make sure her son was on task. So I think that parental support was key as well.
Right.
So question, can you explain the interview process in more detail?
Sure. We have basically 2 interviews for members that get that far. We have a application process. We kind of make it very known that the jobs we're looking for applicants. We go to some high schools and go to community meetings and put it out in community newsletters. And then we get all the applications in, which are pretty, you know, you have to include your report card with the application. You have to have a signature from your parent that you're okay on, you know, applying for the job, and you also have to have another recommendation from either a coach or a teacher. So first thing is kind of getting through that first and fill in the application form. So you have to get kind of past that first cut, you know, will the kids really pull this whole thing together? Are they really serious? Then we look at that group and the interview process. We interview everyone that has filled in a completed application, and all the pieces are there. It's a half-hour interview, really trying to get to know the applicant and what their interests are, how they like to work, And if they get on a short list and we go through a second round of interviews with one of the other supervisors, we try to have different people at the interviews, and then after the second interview process we call references. So it's pretty labor intensive. It's not, we're not just kind of getting a group of kids that another program has kind of pre-qualified or anything. We're doing all that qualification ourselves, which allows us to, I think, select really great kids. So we've been lucky.
Does the operator have any questions?
We do have a phone line question from Nancy Beardsley. Your line is open.
Yes, I was wondering if you have any problems with vandalism or the gators being taken.
We do occasionally. It seemed to have dropped off a little bit. The vandalism, believe it or not, we were getting mainly from weed whackers, slicing them, and sometimes we get trash in them. People think they're trash bags for some reason. But this last year we did really well with retaining the gators. One thing we do when we install them, I should mention, is we put a little zip tie on them. So we have one of the tabs on the tree gator has a zip tie, and then we put it through the zipper at the top. So it would take a little bit of extra effort to actually steal the gator. So that's a tip I would say is pretty successful. They're just those little black zip ties. It keeps the zippers up as well. They're worth the investment, though, I would say, the tree gators. They really simplify life. And we average about 3 minutes a tree. So some are spread out, some are close together. It depends how efficient your sites are, but when all is said and done, we average about 3 minutes per tree. So that's a little bit of info might be helpful.
All right. Anything else from the operator?
I don't show any other questions at this time. If anyone would like to ask a question, please press *1 and record your name.
Okay. So do you have other questions for Amanda? We'll hold them till the end or after Kemba's presentation. But now we'll turn it over to Kemba.
Okay, one moment. Here. Where's those arrows?
So yours hasn't come up yet.
There
it
it
is.
Hi.
Just click on the slides along here.
Okay. I'm actually terrible when it comes to technology, so please bear with me. But Urban Relief, oh, wait a minute. Urban Relief is was founded in 1998 here by me, actually, here in Oakland, California. Our original name was Oakland Relief, but we changed it to Urban Relief to be able to incorporate more projects in Northern California. What you see now is a picture of actually the Muslim community, young kids from Elijah Learning Center. Their school is directly across the street from the church, and we utilize, for our youth program, we utilize pretty much 3 levels of youth. One is high school age youth, or excuse me, we hire high school age youth, and then we have what we call a category of idle youth, and which is pretty much youth that have probably did jail time or on probation or have dropped out of school. And then we have youth from volunteer agencies, such as places like East Bay Conservation Corps or Youth Build or our youth court, where they come from a variety of backgrounds. In the last couple years, one of our strong points have been recruiting from UC Berkeley and UC Davis. We were engaged in a project with UC Davis showing that by planting 1,800 trees in a West Oakland watershed, we're saving 9 million gallons of contaminants from entering the bay. So that project has been a 4-year project where our youth have been involved with collecting the GIS data alongside youth from, of course, UC Berkeley and UC Davis. And one thing that has been very beneficial is that, you know, West Oakland is an area where the median income is like $1,000 a year, where it's actually one of the highest murder rates in the area and one of the highest high school dropout rates, as well as very low tree canopy. The tree canopy is like at about 1%. When I came to Oakland, these were many of the conditions that we see, not only in Oakland but in Richmond as well. And these communities are mostly Black and Hispanic communities, mostly low income, and tree planting, I believe, has just created an enormous amount, especially in the last few years, of volunteerism, of folks coming together to just really make a difference in our community. This young man, Kwame, has been with us actually since he was 7. We have some youth that have come with us that don't have parents and are from group homes, and the hardest ones we try to stay with. We're not supposed to hire youth under the age of 15, but we do utilize youth stipends to have some of these youth stay with us. We really try to keep the best youth with us as much as possible. And we find that, at least I have a policy that if you spend $6,000 a year on a child, you could pretty much probably save their lives. And I think those kind of things really help them to keep clothes on their backs and to kind of keep up with a lot of the other kids. Okay. And this actually is a Caltrans project where we had, probably about 200 people out there from UC Berkeley, some of the boards that I sit on, Keep Oakland Beautiful board, different youth group, East Bay Conservation Corps probably had 50 people out there themselves. But we found that we've had to really have a variety of services that incorporate more than tree planting, because a lot of times people look at trees and they kind of cringe. So we've also had to incorporate like vegetation management projects, litter abatement projects, landscaping projects to kind of put more, to keep more funding coming, as well as keep people working. Oops, where am I going here? And this is really an example of our youth really working together. This young lady, Rakia, was with us since she's 12. She's been accepted at UC Davis and UC Merced to study urban forestry. And Ashley is now at NYU studying conservation management. I think one of the main successes of the program has been being able to work with a whole lot of different partners. At the moment, we're working with Apollo Alliance, who's working on a bill in Congress to bring $125 million to green jobs. And we're the greening component. Their main focus has been a lot of energy-related programs. But now that, you know, that trees, that we're able to quantify the benefits of trees, whether it's energy, water, or air, or tree canopy, we're even thinking about working with some scientists around birds, because we find that in West Oakland we have very few birds other than pigeons. So that's pretty much it. Any questions?
So we will open up the lines now.
Okay.
Participants from the phone lines would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your touchtone phone. You will be prompted to record your name.
Kemba, as someone who operates summer and school year work programs, can you talk about the unique challenges of the school year aspect?
Well, during the school year, it's really interesting is that in the summer we have more youth from the school. We have between 20 and 30 youth in the summers when we actually need them a lot more during the school year. So during the school year, we're more prone to hire more of the idle youth to work for us, and then the school kids come after school and on weekends, on Saturdays. Yeah.
And what about, just in terms of them juggling the work component with homework and other commitments, like, if they're on a sports team or other extracurricular activities, they're able to balance that easily enough?
Well, I don't really know if the youth in the sports programs really get to work with us. My son actually plays basketball, and I'm always like, come on, can you come work with us? But with that, youth come from 4 to 6, and I think these youth pretty much are, some of the youth are able to get off to school at 12:30, but these are youth, I think, that are pretty much committed to wanting to work. Yeah.
And it sounds like the partnership with the schools is one of the primary partnerships. What have you had to do to build that partnership up?
Well, in terms of partnering with agencies to provide job training and employment opportunities has been relatively easy. We have 8 welfare to work currently on our staff. So with that, we work with a lot of different volunteer groups, to pretty much help with our labor costs. So with that, it's been pretty easy because there's a whole lot of groups out there, not only just youth groups but church groups and just volunteer groups that want that need to stay busy.
What GIS data do you collect, and how is that data then used by the community?
Well, we actually we've collected about 10 points, and within the West Oakland watershed, it's actually a 10 by 12 block radius area, and it's tree canopy. The average amount of tree canopy that it should be an area should be like at 0.10%. This area is like 0.1%, and it's bordered by freeways. So with that, a lot of the being able to bring a lot of the resources and youth groups to that area has been pretty easy, but concentrating on one area has kind of been a main focus. Did I answer your question?
So we collected data on...
Oh, I lost it. Yeah. I'm sorry. This is Georgia. She's like the scientist of the group. I'm not the scientific end. But here, let me go ahead and answer.
So I wasn't with Urban Relief for the project, but I do know that they planted approximately 1,200 trees in the project area. And so some of the data that was collected included the crown, so the canopy size of trees.
Well, it's actually 10 points that they collected.
So what are the 10 points?
They collected width, height, age, if they knew it, tree species, of course, the conditions, whether or not it had overhead wires, and I guess a few more things. The point, where it's at, whether it's in front of the house, on the side of the house, how many trees, things like that.
And also probably the size of the cutout, which is the area of soil that's available to absorb water coming through the canopy itself and off the trunk of the tree.
Oh, we also, the last 4 years, tested the water. I think that's what you're talking about, Georgia. Yeah, we also tested the water for the last 4 years, so our youth know how to collect water samples. which isn't easy.
Can you talk more about integrating funding or finding funding through integrating trees into programs like the litter abatement and the landscaping and such?
Well, funding has been a challenge, but, we got a comment yesterday from Eric Older who congratulated us on our 4-year research project, and he said, be willing to think outside the box. So with that, it's a major challenge for me to hire youth. I really want to hire 100 youth. In terms of, one of my challenges is that I have a stack, probably 1.5 inches of applications, and we have a lot of youth that over the years, I've been in this community for 16 years now, and I've seen youth die. I've seen youth grow up here and get killed, or youth that have, submitted applications to us die a week later. So it is just really been a major focus to not only create change in the community around tree canopy, but to provide those jobs. So with that, we've had to increase our level of performance. Increase our level of services to include contracting and not just grants, and then also include membership, and to also include, asking for more donations. So those things have actually increased. Right now I'm studying for my landscaping contractor's license. So with that, we're hoping to really increase our partnerships to include places like Caltrans and Housing Authority and Peralta colleges, and just more of the commercial sector.
And how have you been able to integrate the broader community into your work, like the local businesses, the residents, political leaders, and such?
Well, I think several ways. We flyer both the cities of Oakland and Richmond, I would say like every few months. We have commercials on local channels. We're received a lot of press. We have a press relations person on board, but we've received a lot of press for our research project, as well as just work that we've done. And we engage the politicians by inviting them to tree plantings. I'm on several boards, on Keep Oakland Beautiful board, as well as the new mayor's beautification task force, where we've recommended several recommendations around greening and urban forestry in the city of Oakland. So, the main thing is really just is partnerships, is really, being visible. We also have 25 youth from UC Berkeley that get college credit to work with us. So, having that visibility at the meetings and the partnerships, I think, really make a difference. But, every day we're still learning and growing.
What kind of fee-for-service projects have you done, and what partnerships have you used to make sure that the youth do a professional job?
Well, right now we cut concrete for fee. That's not actually for our youth, but that's one of the ways that we bring in funding. Another way is our landscaping jobs. We, although now we see that with the bigger jobs, we need contracts. With smaller jobs, with Peralta colleges and with citizens, we've been able to do some small, even with Caltrans, some small landscaping jobs. And just with grants, we're able to go in and do some beautification projects. Groups like grants like from, say, Home Depot or San Francisco Foundation, or other foundations tend to keep us going.
What training do you provide for the youth?
Oh, wow. Well, we try to partner youth up with what they like, with I kind of have a philosophy of if people like what they do, then they will do a better job at it. So, you know, youth that can draw very well. We've designed different logos. They've designed a coloring book called The Adventures of Captain Relief. They help with the website design. Our youth that want to work outside, we of course focus them on training with tree planting, tree maintenance, or even if we bring in youth that kind of may not necessarily want to focus on trees because of our partnerships with UC Davis. Like one young lady, we were able to have her work at Lawrence Livermore Hall of Science because she wanted to be a veterinarian. So she works up there periodically just to get some training. Yeah.
And here's a question for both Kemba and Amanda. What type of training does your staff go through?
Well, we try I just try to get the best. In terms of our staffing, we work closely with UC Davis research. So they bring a lot of our technical and just our more of our technical, and they help us with a lot of our grant writing. And in terms of staffing, we've been able to get a lot of really talented students. Like one person, Laura Roman, wrote a couple grants to work with us. She's doing a tree mortality study where we've just planted these 1,200 trees in the Eddy Street watershed area. So now she's doing a tree mortality study just to figure out, you know, what are some of the conditions that our trees go through or that affect their survival rate. Then we, you know, I think one of the areas, one of the main areas that I'm challenged by is coming up with more funding to hire adults. You know, it's easy to, we actually pay $10 an hour. We start with $10 an hour for our youth, but for the adults, it's a lot harder because, of course, they need more. So with that, we have 5 paid staff, and I am challenged to look for more funding to provide more funding for our staff with PhDs and master's degrees.
And Amanda, training that the staff has to go through?
Oh, well, in terms of their training, a lot of our staff, like such as Georgia Severa here, she's a PhD candidate. She have already come on board with a whole lot of skill set and expertise. So we have Georgia Severa on staff. Then we have so a lot of staff that already have degrees in urban forestry, which makes a huge difference. But in terms of our training, on the job training, it's really just a matter of pairing them up with their strengths and moving forward with just what tasks need to be done. Like right now, our major focus is concrete cutting, tree planting, and then of course the landscaping and litter abatement and vegetation maintenance. So we try to pair our staff with those areas that better suit them. I hope I answered your question.
I think so. Amanda?
I was just going to say, we, just developing this program last year, really, we've been kind of developing it as we go. So the tree planting and mulching and all that sort of thing has been kind of, our program volunteer coordinator, Winnie Harris, who is the main supervisor for the Green Corps program. I mean, these are you know, just core things that we do to trees and know about trees. So we haven't had like additional training specifically for the staff with the supervisors. Our other supervisor we had was had studied in silviculture, so she had quite a bit of experience with trees and also working with youth. So I think it's a combination of having experience working with youth, setting a good role model, and then knowing the basics about what the tree care is that you're doing, and then enlisting other experts to kind of supplement that as well.
Okay, does the operator have any questions?
I don't show any questions at this time. If anyone would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your touch-tone phone and record your name.
Okay, well, I'll give the wrap-up talk, and if someone has a question before then, they can jump in. But I've put up on the screen a link to SurveyMonkey. There are 4 questions, and if everyone could go out there and answer those 4 questions in the next hour or so, just to give us some feedback on how this went, that would be real helpful. But other than that, I'd really like to thank Amanda and Kemba for presenting today. I know I learned a lot about work programs for students, so thank you very much. For anyone who missed the session, if you have a coworker who missed it and would like to listen in on the session, this is being recorded, so it will be up on ACT's site in about a week, and I'll send an email out when that happens. Thanks to the Home Depot Foundation and the Forest Service for sponsoring this webcast. And the next webcast is on November 8th, which is not the 3rd Thursday like we usually do. It is the 2nd Thursday because our annual meeting is on the 3rd Thursday. So hopefully everyone will be coming out to that. It's in Baltimore from November 13th, or the 13th is our meeting, and the 14th to the 16th is the Partners in Community Forestry Conference, and there's a link about that on the main page of our website. But November 8th is the next session, and it's on smart growth and urban forestry, and the presenters will be Danielle Glaros, who is with the Smart Growth Office in Maryland, and Peter Hartnick from the Trust for Public Land. So thanks again. Anyone who has follow-up questions at this point would say you can also email them to me, and I'll follow up directly with the presenters. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This concludes today's conference. Participants from the phone lines may disconnect at this time.